What do you think is your biggest obstacle? And by that, I mean the biggest obstacles in achieving professional success or having fulfilling relationships, being a healthy person, making your dreams a reality. Well, in short, being a happy person. What do you think is the biggest obstacle? Is it the bad economy? Your competitors? Inflation? The lack of support that you receive? Your bad luck? Or is it immigrants? The patriarchy? An unfair and unjust society? What if I told you that it is none of that? That actually the biggest obstacle to your success is the person you see in the mirror every single day, which is you. Yes, it's exactly what I'm saying. And I know it sounds crazy, but the biggest obstacle to your success is probably yourself. You are your own worst enemy. If you have the means to watch this video, it means that your biggest obstacle are not external. It is not the outside world. The biggest obstacle you will ever face is you. You are your own worst enemy. I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but let's take a few famous people as examples. People who faced massive failure or massive difficulties. Think about Howard Hughes, Bernard Madoff, Sam Bankman-Fried, Steve Jobs, Jimi Hendrix, John Delorean, or Mohamar Gadaffi. All those men have one thing in common. Their downfall was provoked by themselves, by their lack of wisdom, lack of discipline, lack of sobriety, oversized ego, or complete self-delusion. Let's take Howard Hughes, probably the most flamboyant of this list. Many people nowadays think that Howard Hughes had a very glamorous lifestyle and that he was a bold and visionary genius. However, the reality is very different. His life was a long track record of business failures. He spent his life dilapidating the family fortune with one failed venture after the other. And it was not because of his competitors, detractors, a bad economy, or whatever. And it was not because of a lack of talent neither. Howard Hughes was very talented. He had lots of good ideas and was indeed a bold visionary. The issue of Howard Hughes was his ego that was completely out of control, among many other issues, such as his tendency to be delusional and completely out of touch with reality. Let's take the Hercules airplane as an example, certainly his most ambitious project. This airplane was full with awesome and innovative ideas and could have been a massive success, but it wasn't. It was a total failure that represented exactly the personal issues of Howard Hughes. A project that was completely out of touch with reality and that was focused more on appearing big than doing what it was supposed to do, flying. The massive airplane could barely take off for only a few seconds and with an altitude of only a few meters. After that inauguration, if we can call it that way, the airplane spent the rest of his existence in a hangar without ever flying again. If Howard Hughes would have more control over himself, if he would have kept his demons at bay, if he would have kept his ego in check, well, we would have had an airplane that would not be so big, not be so impressive, it wouldn't be so flamboyant, but we would have had an airplane that would actually fly and break many records. You see, the failure of the Hercules aircraft can be tied down to one single thing, and that one single thing was Howard Hughes and his excesses. You see, Howard Hughes was his own worst enemy. To take a more personal example, that reminds me of a guy I know. This guy is very clever. He has everything he needs to succeed, but he has one issue that makes him his own worst enemy. He has one issue, which is he is very oversensitive. This guy is now 26, 27, and he's been going from one failure after the other. I mean, he started studying 4 different things at university. Can you imagine? 4 different things, and every single time he dropped out. He dropped out every time because of very trivial reasons, but he's so oversensitive that those very trivial reasons, they became huge obstacles. They became huge dramas. I remember once he dropped out only because there was a professor who once said one thing that he didn't like. Just one time, a professor said one thing that he didn't like and he decided to drop out. In another occasion, he dropped out because in one assignment, they had to read a book and he didn't like this book, so he dropped out. This guy, just like Howard Hughes, is his own worst enemy. The biggest obstacle to make his dreams a reality is himself. It's not this professor that turned out to be an asshole, or this book that he didn't like, or whatever that may be. The problem is himself. And I think that the same thing can be said for most of us. We are our own worst enemy. Want to have a great empire? Rule over yourself. Publius Syrus. That is why the best thing we can do is working on ourselves, identifying what it is about us that makes us our own worst enemy. And I can give you something that is a one size fits all. Because, for example, with Howard Hughes, his problem was being self-delusional, having too much of a big ego. For this guy that I know is being oversensitive. We all face different demons. We all are facing different challenges. So it's important to identify what is this challenge? What is this specific thing that is making you your own worst enemy and work on it? For me, for example, I realized that the biggest challenge for me is being a bit too compulsive, being impatient, having a short attention span, and all of that was getting in the way to my success. That was exactly what was making me my own worst enemy. And I identified it and I really worked on it and it really helped me a lot. I found my own way to cope with those challenges. In my case, it was doing sports or doing creative activities. They helped me to subdue this, impatience, this short attention span, this compulsivity, and it has really made wonders for me. Working on that has helped me much more than if there was a better economy or if I had more success, more money, more support, or whatever that may be. Really, I realized, and that's what I want to share with this video, that working on yourself is the best thing you can do. Indeed, if you want to have a great empire, start ruling over yourself. I hope you liked this video, and if that is the case, a little thumbs up is always appreciated. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and stay tuned, because very soon, in the next few weeks, I'm going to release a new video series that I think you're gonna like. It's gonna be about the biggest business failures. We're gonna talk about the Segway, about the Hercules airplane, for example, and many, many other things. Also, we're gonna talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, etc. I think you're gonna like it. So stay tuned, and I see you very soon.